Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Well, 3-day draft, 7 rounds. The New Orleans Saints had 9 picks, and I will be gosh darned. They made every single one of them. Stop traffic. Sound the alarms. First time since 2015, the New Orleans Saints made 9 selections. First time since 2015 also that New Orleans did not execute a draft day trade. A full decade, y'all. A full decade of gum-smacking Mick constantly having that trigger finger. But they were patient. Maybe the Saints are turning over a new leaf in this draft era. I'll tell you, this is a team that, as we've talked about, needs to get younger and more affordable, because currently they are old and expensive. Get younger and more affordable. How do you do that? The draft. Pick players you really like at positions of need and get them for 4 years on a rookie contract. Or 5 years if you have the 5th-year option of a first rounder. And they took 9 of them. Now, my sincere hope is that the hit rate on these 9 are dramatically higher than that last time they took 9 picks. Because the last time they drafted 9 players in 2015, this was your draft. Andrus Peat, Stephon Anthony, Ha'oli Kikaha, Garrett Grayson, P.J. Williams, Davis Tull, Tyler Davison, Damian Swan, Marcus Murphy. It's great to take 9 players if you hit. It ain't great to take 9 players when you got a lot of Stephon Anthony, Ha'oli Kikaha, Garrett Grayson in the mix. So, how did the Saints do with these 9? Let's take a look at it. We will give you a little bit of a Saints draft roundup, if we would. And, of course, they started on Thursday in round 1. I promise. They started on Thursday. Do we not have it? Okay. They drafted Kelvin Banks with the 9th overall pick. As we said on Friday, you will never regret taking a dominant offensive lineman. It's like a roof for your home. It's not a fun purchase, but it is an essential purchase. You'd much rather buy a fancy car or a nice vacation, but you can live without the car or the vacation. You can't live without the roof on your house. You'll never regret taking a great offensive lineman. The big question now, does Banks play left guard? Does he play right tackle and you move Penning to guard? Does Banks play left tackle and you move Fuanga to right tackle and then Penning to guard? He'll be one of your best 5. He'll be on the field somewhere. You'll never regret that one. In the second round, the Saints did something that they've literally never done in their history.
With the 40th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Tyler Shough, quarterback, Louisville.
Wow. The Saints needed a quarterback. Derek Carr is injured. We knew they were going to take one at some point. This is the highest the Saints have drafted a quarterback since Archie Manning in 1971. It's the first time in the history of the organization they have ever used a second-round pick on a quarterback. And Tyler Shough was a big-time prospect. He was a top 100 prospect when he signed with Oregon in 2018. Age, he'll be 26 in September. And injury questions, he's had 3 season-ending injuries throughout his college career, are questions. But does Kellen Moore value him? If so, the NFL comp is Jared Goff. If you got a guy like that, you have a guy that can get you to a Super Bowl, as Jared Goff did with the Rams, and he's had the Lions on the brink. So, I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying you had to get a quarterback, and you got one your coach liked. They moved into the 3rd round and did this.
With the 71st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Vernon Broughton, defensive end, Texas.
Boy, Bo Davis and Terry Joseph had a lot of influence in that draft room. 2 Texas picks in the first 3 rounds, Kevin Banks on the offensive line, and then Vernon Broughton on the defensive line. This is a Bo Davis defensive lineman. He recruited him to Texas, and he looks like what Bo Davis wants. He's 6'4", 305. You've got Brian Brzee already. You signed Devon Gottschall in this offseason. It very likely means a limited role and then an eventual exit for Colin Saunders and Kelvin Shepard. But this is the type of defensive lineman that the New Orleans Saints want. But the Saints weren't done in round 3.
With the 93rd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Yonas Sanker, defensive back, Virginia.
Thank you very much for the pronunciation. I would have been saying Jonas for as long as he was a New Orleans Saint. A 3-year starter and a team captain at the University of Virginia. When you look at the safety position for the New Orleans Saints, Tyrann Mathieu is old. Jordan Howden has never become anything more than a role player and a special teamer, although you were hoping he would become a starter. That has not manifest. And you've got someone in Justin Reed that you just paid a lot of money to. The hope is with Yonas Sanker that he can become a starter in the secondary and an heir apparent to Tyrann Mathieu.
With the 112th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Danny Stzman, linebacker, Oklahoma.
Love that they went to the Eiffel Tower for that pick. Danny Stzman will remember that one, Fred. By the way, Danny Stzman is like a full-on character. He's a quote machine. If you're not familiar, then you haven't been watching college football because he's been like a 4-year starter and he's got almost 400 career tackles. Actually, the number is 376 career tackles at Oklahoma. Tackling machine, total dude in the middle of the defense. Demario Davis is 36 years old. You drafted Danny Stzman to be his backup this year and eventually take over. That's why he's here. He will be a fan favorite. Love him. Hope he stays healthy and becomes a great linebacker. Pete Werner's under contract through 2027. So you can see a passing of the torch potentially from Demario Davis to Danny Stzman. That's at least how they would like for it to play out.
With the 131st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Quincy Riley, defensive back, Louisville.
This is one that we talked about specifically because Quincy Riley took a top 30 visit to the New Orleans Saints. I think the only surprise here is that New Orleans waited so long to take a cornerback. They got Riley in round 4 at number 131 overall. Remember, Paulson Adebo and Marshawn Lattimore, your 2 week 1 starters a year ago. They're now in, Lattimore's in Washington and Adebo is in New York with the Giants. This is a guy that they loved. He is a boundary corner that could play in the slot as well if you need. You absolutely had to go get a corner because Alontae Taylor is not a boundary corner. He's a slot or a safety. So you had to get one. The only surprise you didn't go higher, but this is someone that they absolutely loved, and it feels like a steal being able to take him in round 4.
With the 184th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Devin Neil, running back, Kansas.
Could very well be the steal of this class. Or he could be a guy that proves why he fell into round 6. Devin Neil is a 4-year starter at Kansas. He is that program's all-time leader in rushing touchdowns. He's also had at least 20 receptions each of his years at Kansas and crossed the 1,000-yard barrier 3 of his 4 years. He was a massively productive college running back at a Big 12 school at Kansas. He's 5'11", 215, but he ran 4.58. So a little undersized, a little slow. Doesn't mean you can't make it in the NFL. He doesn't have the measurables, though, that would make him a top 100 pick in the draft, which is why he was sitting there in round 6. But this is a value pick that I like at running back because you can find a guy that was massively productive and knows what to do with the football in round 6, and you don't have to use a first-round pick on it. So, Devin Neil certainly could factor in, especially considering the fact that outside of an aging Alvin Kamara, you have gigantic question marks at running back. Shout out to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Not even going to mention the dude from TCU, who I'm just going to forget his name and hopefully never mention him ever again. But Devin Neil could be the steal of the draft.
With the 248th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Miki Mataval, tight end, UCLA.
6'5", 260, good size, but make no mistake, this is a flyer pick on Mataval. Not necessarily a great blocker, but a good pass catcher. So he's just under 1,000 career receiving yards. Potentially the guy that might take over for Foster Moreau. I don't know that he really challenges. This feels like a flyer in round 7.
With the 254th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Fidil Diggs, defensive end, Syracuse.
Now, this is one I like a lot in round 7. You look up and you go, they got Fidil Diggs in round 7. Fidil Diggs was an elite prospect when he signed with Texas A&M back in 2020 out of Camden, New Jersey. He spent 4 years at A&M, was a productive player at A&M, transferred for his 5th and final season. He had the COVID year extra, so he transferred for his 5th and final season to Syracuse and had 7.5 sacks this year in his 5th season of college football. This could be a guy that as you're waiting for somebody to emerge on the edge, and we talked about potentially taking an edge rusher at 9 overall, I'm not saying Diggs is going to become one of those type guys, a top 10, top first-round talent at edge rusher, but he is a talented edge rusher, and as you usher in a new defense under Brandon Staley, where he has always had the athletic edge rushers, mostly what you had prior were big ends. Cam Jordan, Carl Granderson. Fidil Diggs fits the mold of what Brandon Staley wants in his defense. If they like him, they probably got a role for him. I would not be surprised at all if Fidil Diggs, as a 7th rounder, makes the Saints team. So, you're reloaded with young talent. You got veteran culture guys. I loved this part of it. You got, of the 9 picks, 3 were team captains. 5 were postseason award winners. All 9 played at least 40 collegiate games. 8 of them have a multi-sport background. Of the 9, 8 of the 9 were durable throughout their college career. The exception was Tyler Shough, who had 3 season-ending injuries, and 5 of the 9 participated in the Senior Bowl, and actually Broughton was a 6th who accepted his invite but didn't play in the game. So Stzman was invited but declined his invite. So really, 7 of the 9 had Senior Bowl ties as well. There's a lot of culture. There's a lot of veteran, experienced guys in this Saints draft class. When you had to get younger and you had to get younger with guys that were going to be able to impact your roster, it feels like you did that. For a team and a roster that needed everything, you touched just about everything. The one gigantic surprise is they did not take a receiver in this draft class. I thought they might have gone receiver at 9. I thought they could have gone receiver at 40. Anywhere. The fact that they didn't get a big-bodied receiver is the one thing I come out of this draft going, that's a gigantic miss. But all things considered, like what they did. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.